This video is going to be breaking down amped as well as weapon swap times to let you know that amped doesn't actually work on Vanguard weapons, and we're going to explain why that is the case. If you enjoy stats videos like this that actually break down the stats of Warzone, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as we're trying to reach our goal of 50,000 subscribers, and click the link in the description down below and subscribe to our second channel as well. We're trying to reach 1,000 over there, and don't forget to leave this video a like. But like I said, what we're actually testing in this video is actually the amped perk first of all. So like I said, we all know how amped works. It basically speeds up when you're trying to swap weapons from an AR to an SMG, for example. It will make that a lot quicker. We kind of know how it works with the Cold War and Modern Warfare weapons, but I will recap that in this video as well. But also now we've got a new attachment with the Vanguard weapons. We have the taped grip attachment, which actually helps with weapon swap quickness. So does this actually work better than amped? Does it work with amped? Can you get like an even faster swap time? And we're going to be breaking all that down in this video. But I do want to mention that you can use this attachment on your AR as well as your SMG, so it's available for both weapons. Now, why it's available for both weapons is because if you switch from an AR to an SMG, you actually get a different swap time than if you're swapping from your SMG to your AR. So it's not the exact same swap times you're going to get, it's going to be slightly different. Now, these swap times that we're going to calculate is with specific weapons that we did testing on. I'll go over those loadouts in just a second, but if you are using something like an LMG or a sniper rifle and you're swapping from like an SMG or you're swapping from an AR, so if you've got like an AR sniper loadout, for example, you will get slightly slower raise and lower times, and that is just because that is how the game works. So these swap times are only calculated based off of these loadouts right here, so obviously you can kind of apply it to overall general ARs and SMGs. So for the Vanguard classes that we tested the MP40 and we tested the STG44. So what we were actually testing here was swapping from the STG to the MP40. So we tested from AR to SMG swap, and then we done the AR to SMG swap on Modern Warfare weapons as well. So we tested the M4 as well as the MP5. We didn't use any attachments on these weapons unless they were going to help with weapon swapping. And then we also tested Black Ops weapons as well, and that is swapping from the XM4 to the Cold War MP5. And we did the exact same test swapping from AR to SMG. So what you'll see on screen just now is the actual numbers behind this. So for example, we've got the AR to SMG swap. So every test we did was swapping from the assault rifle, whether it's a Cold War, Modern Warfare or Vanguard, to the SMG. Because if you do it back the way, it's going to give you different numbers as well, like I said. But we wanted to test just to see how the attachments and the perks work now. So crosshair weapon swap is when the crosshair disappears on the AR and the crosshair reappears on the SMG. So that is what the crosshair swap was. And then also we did a test where we let the crosshair disappear on the AR, but we held in the fire button, so as soon as the SMG came out we could fire straight away, and it's going to give you a slightly different time. So especially if you're trying to fire as quickly as possible because your AR is out of ammo, for example, then this is the quickest possible swap time you'll get. So here we have the crosshair swap time for the Modern Warfare base weapon, no attachments, no perks, and we've got a 1.5 second weapon swap time. So as you can see, 1.5 seconds is not too bad, but again, it is quite slow when you're actually in game. For Cold War weapons, it's actually a little bit quicker. We got a 1.1 second weapon swap time from the crosshairs, which is actually not too bad. And then as you can see, for the Vanguard weapons, it's the absolute slowest by almost a 2-second weapon swap time. That is ridiculously slow. As you can see, I mean, 2 seconds is a very long time inside Warzone or Call of Duty in general. So that is a very slow weapon swap time. Then if you equip amped on all of these without any extra perks or anything like that, so just amped alone, we've got a 0.72 with the Modern Warfare weapons, which is actually definitely quicker than the base weapon. We've got 0.73 with the Cold War weapons, which is definitely much quicker than the Cold War weapons. And then we've got a Vanguard amped swap time with the Vanguard weapons. It is a bit quicker as well, once again, not massively quicker, but definitely noticeable. Then we've got the Vanguard grips only, so just the grips that help with weapon swap time, not amped. It gives you a 1.5 second weapon swap time, which is very similar to if you just had amped. with these weapons anyway. And then if you do equip amped and the 2 perks that help with weapon swap time, you get a 1.4 second weapon swap time, which isn't too different, to be honest. So it doesn't really matter which way you do it. So if you just want to use amped alone, that will work fine on the Vanguard weapons. If you want to use the rear grips, that will also work fine on the Vanguard weapons. And if you try and stack them, it doesn't stack at all. So it's not going to give you an even quicker weapon swap time. Now, looking at the hip firing swap times, or basically firing straight away as soon as possible, it definitely is a little bit quicker, basically across the board for all of the weapons. So if you're trying to basically hold down the fire button whilst you're swapping from your AR to your SMG, it will take 0.9 seconds to fire your first bullet, and that goes for Modern Warfare and Cold War. For Vanguard, it is a bit slower again, and that's just because it is slower to swap the weapons from the crosshairs as well. Then if you have amped equipped, it does make it even faster, so you're going to be able to fire your weapon even quicker. So it's 0.4 seconds for Modern Warfare, which is ridiculously fast, 0.68 for Cold War, 0.63 for Vanguard, and all of these are very quick numbers here. You're going to get your bullets fired off as quickly as possible. Now, if you stack these other attachments here, there's almost no difference, like I said, across the board when it comes to Vanguard. So it doesn't really matter which attachments you want to use, or whether it's going to be amped, or whether it's going to be the rear grip attachments, or whether it's going to be both stacked together. You're going to get very similar numbers here. So what can we quickly summarize from this? Now, there's no point in stacking amped with the rear grip attachment on Vanguard weapons, so that's going to be completely useless. Now, there is almost no difference between using the rear grip on both of your weapons in Vanguard or using just amped. It's just going to depend on which way you want to use it. But overall, weapon swapping on Vanguard weapons is a lot slower than Modern Warfare as well as Cold War, and that is across the board, whether it's the base weapons or whether it's even with amped, is going to be slower. So definitely need to keep that in mind when you're trying to swap weapons. It is going to be slower with the Vanguard weapons. So we actually did the test again, and what we did was we removed the taped grip from the assault rifle, but we kept it on our SMG just to make sure that if you have it on the SMG, would it still affect the assault rifle to SMG swap time. And we got a 1.8 second swap time from the STG to the MP40, which means it's actually only 0.1 seconds of a difference from the base swap time. So it doesn't actually help keeping it on your SMG if you want to swap from your AR to SMG to be quicker. You do need it on both of your weapons if you want to be able to swap quickly interchangeably. Now, if you only want to swap faster from your AR to your SMG, you only need the perk on your AR. Now, if you only want to swap from your SMG to your AR quickly, you only need the perk on your SMG. But usually most people want is be able to swap both ways quickly, so that's why probably amped is still going to be the best option regardless. Plus, you'd rather use that rear grip attachment to maybe help with something like recoil or aiming strafe speeds or something like that instead. So there we have it. That is how swap times now work inside Warzone, and we've got a lot of attachments that do very similar things to either perks or other things we already have in the game, so it's kind of hard to kind of test all of this. But if you enjoyed this video and learned something new, don't forget to sub to the channel as we're trying to reach that goal of 50k, and also subscribe to our second channel, and thank you very much for watching.